Started the 3-year investigation into healthcare prices. Here's medical waste.
Hammond, Louisiana is stuck between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, 45 minutes in each direction from the state's two most populated cities. Hammond has a connection to our nation's capital, a significant connection between two cities 1,100 miles apart. A connection you don't know about until now. It will allow millions of Americans like you to save money when buying prescription medication. Here's why. In October, President Trump signed a bill that will lower health care costs. That bill received bipartisan support. You don't hear that much lately in Washington, D.C. The bill a result of a series of interviews done by a Louisiana pharmacist.
It's fraud, in my opinion.
Honest but afraid of the consequences of his identity being uncovered.
Most people think having insurance reduces their prices. That's why you buy insurance.
Correct.
But that's not happening in some cases.
That's absolutely correct.
The pharmacist, a whistleblower who provided us with information that changed federal law. That pharmacist from Hammond, Louisiana. Tonight, for the first time, you'll meet him, see his face, hear his real voice. But first, the stories that got us here. Millions of Americans being charged a secret premium. Healthcare providers overcharging for prescription medication, costing you hard-earned money. A scheme we labeled a U-Pay. When you go to the pharmacy, your insurance plan typically has a rather simple payment structure. Your insurer picks up some of the cost, you cover the rest. What's called a copay. Co has a fairly easy to understand definition, jointly or together with another. Here's why we labeled it a U-Pay. That Hammond pharmacist gave us a stack of documents, dozens of prescriptions his pharmacy filled. Here's one for an anxiety drug. The pharmacist received $2.61 from the pharmacy benefit manager, or PBM. The customer paid $15. It's even labeled a copay. The PBM then told the pharmacist to send the leftover money back to them, $12.39. So the PBM and insurance company didn't contribute anything to the purchase. That copay became a U-Pay, and the PBM essentially charged the customer a hidden, secret premium. An additional $12.39, more profit for the PBM and insurance company, more money out of the customer's pocket.
So the companies are paying nothing towards the prescription here?
No, they're actually getting paid to, every time that patient comes in, they're making more money because the patient needed a prescription.
If the customer is paying more than the drug is worth, it's not a copay, it's a U-Pay.
Right.
The customer's paying.
Yeah.
There's no copay there.
There's no copay, right. No, that's an absolute additional premium being paid that they're paying and they don't realize it.
Here's why this pharmacist took great effort to hide his identity.
You have a contract with Optum.
Yes.
It prevents you from saying anything.
Correct.
If Optum found out who you are,
oh, they would come after me. They would want to kick me out of network because we're not supposed to disclose anything.
They don't want you telling the truth.
Correct.
Why?
Because people will be outraged if they knew that they were actually paying an extra premium every time they had a prescription filled.
Pharmacists had gag clauses with insurance companies and PBMs. It prevented them from helping their customers save money. The insurers wanted the pharmacists to be robots, fill a prescription, no matter what cost the PBM gave them. This letter explains the reason behind the covert interviews. OptumRx sent it to a pharmacist after it discovered the pharmacy advised customers utilizing a cash price for their prescriptions was a better deal than using their insurance benefits. Optum told the pharmacist that advice violated their agreement, also writing, failure to timely respond and comply could result in further disciplinary action up to and including termination from all OptumRx pharmacy networks. A termination would put most pharmacists out of business. Early on in our investigation, we brought our findings to U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy, who's also a doctor.
The patient is subsidizing the entity which is supposed to be their advocate.
Cassidy took our findings to Congress and in September passed a bill the president signed that prevents those gag clauses. Pharmacists can now tell customers when a cheaper price exists. Cassidy says this bill resulted from our investigation.
And it all began with a pharmacist talking to you and talking to me, and then you speaking with me, and that representative government working.
It all began with this pharmacist.
There he is. How are you?
Good seeing you.
Good to see you. You doing all right?
Doing fine, thank you.
What do you think about your face being shown on TV, huh?
A little scary. A little scary.
Scary, but now unafraid of any consequences.
What made you make the decision, you know what, I can show my face now?
Well, the thing is, because now we got that gag clause lifted, we can get other pharmacists who've been talking and fighting for the people in the United States for years, that finally we can actually freely talk about it. So when the patient comes to that counter and talks to the pharmacist, we're no longer worried about getting pulled out of network or somebody suing us and this kind of stuff.
This is Ricky Menino, a longtime pharmacist of an independent pharmacy in Hammond, Louisiana.
Do you realize what you've done?
I haven't done anything.
He's modest, but it's a fact. The owner of this pharmacy helped change a federal law, helped Democrats and Republicans come together.
From a pharmacist's point of view across the country, how big a deal is this?
It's incredibly huge. It's incredibly huge that finally someone like yourself has taken this issue and put it out on a stage that no one can ignore. And remember, as well as you did it, it still took 2 years to finally get something done on a national level. Finally, with this gag clause listed, we can really start talking to the patient individually and really maybe get across to them what's going on.
This will save money.
This will save lives too, because people are actually having to choose between their medication and food, and do they pay their insurance premium?
On this day, Ricky Menino met one of his senators, the one who listened to his interview and brought his story to Washington, D.C.
Sure appreciate all your help.
Hey man, you the man. No, you started a process which culminated in President Trump signing a law forbidding gag clauses. And you can draw a line all the way back to when you begin to speak to Lee and pharmacists would come speak to me, and and you can draw that line forward. The senators and members of the House coming together, understanding the issue, drafting a bill, passing the law, and Trump signing. Representative democracy.
You're way too kind. You guys did it. I just passed along a message.
For decades, the pharmaceutical industry has had a stranglehold on the Capitol.
I think the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association has been the #1 lobbyist in Washington since 1998. Look where that's gotten us. You know, the kind of the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, right, and expecting a different outcome. It's time to stop listening to those guys. Listen to the people in the trenches.
But when Cassidy proposed the bill, the industry remained surprisingly silent.
The great thing about this bill, it was so embarrassing to the industry that they did not fight back against it. Because how do you defend gagging a pharmacist from working on behalf of his patients? There is no defense.
If pharmacists are able to speak to their customers, advise and help them, money will be saved.
It gives me hope that, you know, because this isn't the tip of the iceberg. This is just the snow on the top of the iceberg. But with this bill and with the removal of the gag clauses, I'm hoping that people will understand that when it comes to listening about what's really going on in the healthcare industry and drug pricing, listen to your pharmacist.
Congress listened to this brave pharmacist from Hammond, Louisiana.
We need folks who will stick up for the patient, for the advocate, to push back against these people who wish to dominate our lives.
Ricky Menino's 63 years old. When we asked him when he planned to retire, he laughed. Not anytime soon. He loves his job, loves helping his customers. He's humble, but this pharmacist from Hammond, Louisiana, will save Americans money. He helped change a federal law exposing millions of dollars of medical waste.
And that was Lee Zurik reporting tonight.